Warren County. Wrong way.
Down.
Good morning. Oftentimes when I speak, I really like to engage the audience. So as I go through my brief talk, if I come upon something that maybe needs a yes or no, my hope is it will be yes, and my hope is it will be a resounding yes from all of you. I know it's early, but are you with me?
Yes!
Terrific. Congratulations to you Nats fans. I'm a Nats fan myself. It was an early morning to get here. It was an even later night because late last night they came through at the very end and they won their playoff.
Yay.
Good for them. Thank you for having me, but more importantly, for all that you do, thank you. Oftentimes, a lot of the work that you do has a significant impact, but you don't get the credit or the exposure for it. I am very grateful, and I will tell you at the end of my talk, I'll give you a story about a young man who is also grateful for what you do that you don't even realize. So thank you very much for what you do. Winston Churchill, and you've probably heard this before, we make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give. The second part really is who you are. You see, I believe that Rotary clubs have a heart for helping and the gift of giving. So thank you again for what you do. Today's talk is going to be on mentoring. Before I jump into the talk, I'd like to ask you to go back in time. Is there someone, I speculate there is, that was significant for you? We didn't call it mentoring in those days, but there was someone who cared. There was someone who invested in you in some way. They challenged you. They encouraged you. They spent some time with you. And if you had to write down on a piece of paper, I want you now just to take a moment to think. Was there a person, or persons, but in this particular case, a person, that was significant for you as you were growing up, or even recently as you are grown? And as you think about that, I'll transition into mentoring. I believe it's a win-win relationship, and I believe that each one of us has the opportunity to impact another life. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
In life, we like to talk about investing. Most times we talk about investing in the market, in land, housing, 401ks, stocks, bonds, etc., etc. I believe that we have three areas that we can invest with. And if I helped you understand how you could do that, would you be open? Yes or no?
Yes.
This is a great crowd. Time. When it comes to mentoring and the model that I'm going to give you, which goes back to the premise that I started with, a gift of giving and a heart for helping, which I think is indicative of what you as Rotarians do. If you had 20 to 30 minutes every 2 to 4 weeks, would you consider, don't answer, would you consider becoming a mentor? The second thing that we have to offer, all of us, is talent. The experience that we have had over the years of growing a family, growing ourselves, growing a business, growing in the nonprofit or the profit areas, but the experiences that we have had, we can share with others. And the third area is our treasure. In the model that I'm going to show you, treasure does not cost you anything. So the three things that we have to offer in mentoring are time, talent, and treasure. A few minutes every several weeks. All of the talent and experience that we have experienced thus far, but it doesn't cost us anything. Very simply, we as mentors, you can call them advisors, you can call them, today's marketplace, colleges and universities are developing mentoring programs. Businesses have had them for a while. But we as individuals have the opportunity to become a mentor in those three areas: time, talent, and treasure. You become, very simply, a brain to pick. You become an ear to listen. You become a person who will give them a nudge in the right direction. There's a mutual agreement to communicate on a regular basis. And lastly, there's the freedom to disengage at any time. So as you think about this, and I'll share a couple of examples for you, it's very simple. Time, talent, and treasure. Very little time. All the talent that you have, you can give away at no cost. Would you consider doing that, yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Back in July of last year, some friends called me and said they had a young man who was, I was in the landscape business. This young man is in the landscape business. I did not know him. And they said, would you spend some time with him? He has a small landscape business. He's going to Virginia Tech, and he's thinking about quitting school and continuing his landscape business. I never met him before. I sat down with him. I had a great conversation. I realized what a tremendous young man. I would love to spend some time with you. And I went back to these 5 things. And at the end of the conversation, I said, Mitchell, I've really enjoyed meeting with you. I've enjoyed the time. Would you like to continue this relationship? We've just gotten to know one another, but would you consider it if I became a brain to pick, an ear to listen, a nudge in the right direction, we agree to communicate regularly, and if this isn't working for you or for me, we just say we're going to opt out. He said, sure, let's try. Every time we meet, I ask him, is this beneficial for you? I absolutely love it. It is hugely and immeasurably gratifying to me that I have the opportunity to meet with someone who's eager to learn, eager to grow, and willing to spend a few minutes. When we left, my nudge in the right direction was the following. I said, Mitchell, I've been doing some reading, and there's a lady out there who has given a TED Talk. Her name is Angela Duckworth. It's about a 6-minute talk. It doesn't take very long. It's called Grit. Any of you heard of the book Grit or heard of the talk Grit? 6 minutes. Go to Google. It doesn't take much time at all. Hugely inspirational and helpful on the work that she's done. And I said, I think it would be really encouraging for you. We left. We parted. We agreed that we would connect by phone. He was going back to school. Before I got home, I got a text on my phone, just listen to Grit. Thanks for the nudge. And that's all it was. Since that time, when he's home, if we have the opportunity to meet, we meet, we have lunch. Sometimes I buy lunch, sometimes he buys lunch. It really doesn't matter. It's no cost to me. So go back to the 3 things I said before: time, talent, treasure. Hasn't cost me anything. I've been able to share with him my experiences and ask him some questions. When we do these things, in this model I'm talking about, we're not giving advice. We're not telling them what to do. Because when we do that, it prevents them from coming to the communication, whether it's text, whether it's email, whether it's phone, because if they haven't done something that you're expecting them to do, then they feel bad and they don't want to meet. So we don't do that. But I will ask him some questions. Not did you do this, but as we process through some of the questions he has for me, I'll ask him more questions. So we really stick to brain to pick, ear to listen, and nudge in the right direction. Interact Club officers. I don't know if you all invite, do you invite your Interact kids to come here? Do you have a relationship with the officers of the club? No. You might consider a possibility of implementing as a club. I don't think any other clubs in Rotary are doing this, but you might consider an opportunity of being in a mentoring relationship with the officers of those clubs, just to try this out and see if this works for you all. Back to the thing, brain to pick, ear to listen, nudge in the right direction. Mutual commitment to communicate, and then if it's not working, we opt out. The Interact story. A young man was called into the principal's office. When you get called to the principal's office, it's usually not a good thing. A little fear and trepidation, the young man headed down to the principal's office, talked to the secretary. The principal's name was Cyrus Dowd, P-O-U-B. Sat down in front of Mr. Dowd and said, yes, sir. And the principal looked at him and said, I understand that you're a member of the Interact Club, and I'm a Rotarian. And next week, I would like you to accompany me and represent the school at our Rotary meeting. Could you put on a sport coat and a tie and join me, and I'll be happy to get clearance for you to get out of class. Young man left, thrilled to death, came back the next week, went to this kind of meeting, didn't remember who spoke, didn't remember the food that was there. All he remembered was the principal asked him to come and be a part of something. From the most important guy in the school, he asked him to come and be there and represent the school. Folks, that was Fairfax High School. That was 1969, and I was the student. And I still remember that experience because he trusted me to come join him. I didn't speak that day. I don't remember who spoke. All I remember was he asked me to come and be a part of it. And that was 50 years ago. Rotary means a lot to me. And it means a lot to people out there that you don't even know it means a lot to. So I go back to where I started. Thank you for what you do. This mentoring process is very simple. It works. I personally am doing it with 4 individuals, whether you adopt it as a club or whether you adopt it individually. And some of you may be doing this. But this thing is really simple and it really works. And I believe because the way that Rotary is set up, gift for giving, a heart for helping, the impact that you all have, you can take this investment of time, talent, and treasure and put it into a relationship that will last forever. Thank you for having me.